Well, hello and welcome to the Cape Mess Amateur Dramatic Society tasting. Tonight I'm going to do something very different. I'm going to do a whiskey pairing or whiskies pairing. We're going to do a whiskey and cheese pairing. And you may think whiskey and cheese? Well, like many food and drink pairings, there's a few basic rules to observe when it comes to getting your whiskey and your dairy to dance together. Once you've observed them, you can enjoy breaking the rules or making up new ones of your own. Uh, Gordon Dundas, the international brand ambassador at Ian MacLeod Distillers, says the old adage of looking for a compliment or a contrast is the first port of call. Matthew Cordner, the global brand ambassador for Bacardi single malts, concurs and demonstrates both a compliment and a contrast in his own pairings. Beyond that, Gordon Dundas says peak level, cask maturation, and alcohol strength are three things are you should be looking out for when you're choosing a cheese. He says stronger whiskies tend to have a more robust mouthfeel, meaning hard cheeses are usually a good match. Whereas peated whiskies, which we're not going to have a peated whiskey tonight, but peated whiskies need big flavours such as blue cheeses. In Isla, Jackie Thompson, the Ardbeg Distillery Visitor Centre manager, says pairing cheese and whiskey is a win-win challenge, as the fat of the cheese balances the strength of the alcohol. He says that there's a few other things that can cement a match. It's important to find a bridge, a fruit, a spice, a nut, a type of bread or biscuit which will facilitate the marriage between the solid and the liquid. So we're going to start off tonight with a grain whiskey, and this one's the Octave North British Palo Cortado finish, 2011, 14-year-old, cask number 5945313, bottled at 54.2%. And we're going to pair this with the goat's cheese, the Rachel. So the Octave North British 2011 14-year-old Palo Cortado Octave is a single grain Scotch whisky distilled in 2011 at North British Distillery. And after maturing for 14 years, it was finished for 3 months in a Palo Cortado Octave cask to enhance its character. The cheese is Rachel. It's a popular Rachel by White Lake cheese. It's a popular goat's cheese. A firm but creamy paste with gentle notes of rice pudding, butterscotch, and lightly toasted sunflower seeds. So it's a gateway goat's cheese that will tempt the doubters towards more of this excellent cheese. And don't waste a bit. Enjoy the completely edible round, or you're missing out on something special. Goat's cheese and whiskey can be a delightful pairing, with the tangy, earthy notes of the cheese complementing the flavour of various whiskies. Lighter whiskies like Irish whiskey or bourbon or grain whiskey with their sweeter and smoother profiles are often recommended to balance the creaminess and tang of goat cheese. So we'll go through the whiskey first, and then we'll do the whiskey and cheese pairing. So I spent 3 months in a Palo Cortado cask, so we'd expect some nuttiness, some sweetness, some spice from the Palo Cortado. And you can see it's got nice tears on it, this whiskey. And it opens with cola cubes. a little ginger spice. It's an artificial ginger more than anything else. Toffee pennies, cinnamon sticks, and a little bit of artificial cherry too. It's quite sherry forward, it seems. And I'm not getting too much of the neutral grain spirit. The Palo Cortado's done a bit heavy lifting here. With a bit of time, you start to get more of an acetone aroma, along with a little charred wood and clove spice. It's not the type of nose that jumps out at you. I'm having to do a good bit of searching to pull out all these notes. But the alcohol is quite far in the background. I'm getting cocoa butter, carob, milk chocolate, cherry liqueurs with a solventy edge, pomegranate glaze, blueberry jam and chamois liver. Slightly spirity fruit with rich dairy, cocoa, and a cocoa tinge sweetness. We'll try them out. And it opens with more toffee pennies, Werther's Originals, Terry's chocolate orange, caramel sauce, and an overcooked waffle towards the finish. And some of that younger grain flavours can come out now in the mid palate. It's a paddy stringent for me. The mouth feels a bit flat. There's a chalkiness, but it's not particularly thick. But the finish goes for a bit decent length. Going back, I'm finding jelly babies, the red type in particular, cheap cocoa butter, nut brittle, and angel cake fingers, some salted caramel, golden syrup, candy floss, prune juice. It's quite peppery, and it's got a medium-bodied approach which moves to smooth praline and spiked semi-skimmed vanilla milkshake, popcorn jelly beans. It's like a soft centre of a quality street caramel and pink flavoured chocolate covered Turkish delight. And the finish, so candied nuts leaning into peanut skin dryness, dandelion leaf and sour herbs, and that settles down to chocolate liqueurs and a sort of mid-white pepper, a mild white pepper. I'm going to try the cheese. And the cheese has a pliant texture with an astonishing mouthfeel, chewy bite, a high moisture content, which allows a sort of mineral flavour to develop with a mellifluous nutty sweetness. So there's a bit of fresh grass, milled seed, rice pudding, and caramel here. And the cheese helps the whiskey here. The nuttiness of the cheese helps out the astringency of the grain whiskey. Goat's cheese has a tangy and earthy flavour that pairs well with whiskey. The creamy texture and the subtle flavour make it an excellent choice for pairing with grain whiskey. With a more intensely goaty choice, I'd agree that youthful peaty whiskey was the way to go. a citrus-led dram like elements of Isla peat, Ilsa Bay or Cool Isla Moch would provide an excellent contrast to a more goaty cheese, but this pairing works. So I'm going to cleanse my palate with a McAllister's oat cake from Liddell. And for the next pairing, we have a Tinanich from Alness, an Octave Tinanich, 2015, 9-year-old, cask number 6745233, bottled at 54.3%. And we're pairing that with the Frühlingskasse cheese, which is only made in the springtime in the Alpine region of Switzerland, and it's released only during spring a couple of years later. We'll get some pronounced crystals and great depth here with the cheese, and it will demand a rich whisky with dark red fruits. So let's try the whisky. So this one, Tinanich Octave, 9-year-old, 2015, and it spent 3 months in an Octave cask, which would enhance its depth and complexity. And you can see it's got tears, quite a thin tide line, quite medium lips, so speed up the tears there. And on the nose you get gentle sherry, spiced oak, red fruits, toasted nuts, strawberries and cream. It's quite raw and grassy, porridgey with leaves and aspirin tablets, grapefruit skins and cut grass. Wet newspaper is not the fruitiest malt whisky, but it does talk. It's really grassy and mildly smoky, dry, and it's rather austere in style, despite a pleasant freshness. And then it develops more in lemon zest, wax and white rocks. And in a certain sense, it's not far from a late period Klingleash. Hints of grapefruits and apple peelings. It's got very faint graininess. And just a little porridge. It's very nice if you like very straight malts. The sherry isn't too obvious in this one. So we'll try them out. It's got a good malty, grassy arrival. Then you get grapefruit juice, lime, barley, Schweppes, and a little pine sap. It's very austere but close to the barley, which I enjoy. There's no makeup whatsoever. It's much sweeter and fruitier on the mouth, rather more exuberant. It's not an exuberant malt whisky though. A lot of apple juice and soft spices, ginger, cinnamon, and there's more lemon coming through off the bow. It's a tad less elegant than on the nose, I'd say. And the finish is rather long, grassy, leafy, very dry. Some whole grain bread in the aftertaste, hints of tannins, cider and candy sugar. This is a pure malt whisky, perhaps akin to what they were making in the Highlands in the 19th century. Good, and above everything, utterly honest, a pretty good tea. I like the nose a lot. The palate is maybe a tad more indistinct. So the cheese we're going for with this one is a Jimmy cheese, Fruhling's Casa, 2022 Alpage. So this would, let's try the, it does have quite pronounced crystals and quite a great depth. It's got a wonderfully soft texture and it's sweet on the palate with a slight nuttiness. It's nutty but with more of an earthiness to it, a nutty sweetness. And a long clean finish. I love these crystals. A long maturation gives this firm cheese a delicious savoury flavour with both nutty and fruity overtones. We'll try it with the whiskey. This works well. The robuster and unusual tinny matches well to the depth of the sweet and nutty cheese. There's an interesting combination of flavours with the grainy, robust character of the whisky and the soft texture of the cheese, which tames the whisky's spicy outburst at mid-palate. Yeah, I think that worked well. We'll have another palate cleanser. So the next pairing we're going for is the Black Bull 12-year-old blended whisky, 50%. We're pairing that with Lincolnshire Potchip. So the Black Bull 12-year-old was a classic, first produced in the 1930s. Duncan Taylor took the helm in 2001 and continues to blend Black Bull from equal measures of malt and grain whisky. This is the most recently released 12-year-old expression, which picked up a gold medal at the 2011 International Wine and Spirit Competition. It's bottled at a higher strength than most blends, at 50% rather than 40%, and contains a higher malt whisky content than most of the blended Scotch whiskies available nowadays. And they use only the highest quality malt and grain whiskies, as you'd expect from Duncan Taylor, and it's matured in the sherry and bourbon cask. So it's a formula 50% malt to 50% grain and bottled at 50% ABV. And it can be served neat, or with water, or even in cocktails. So, and the cheese we're pairing this with is the F.W. Reid and Sons Vintage Lincolnshire Poacher, which is made with unpasteurised cow's milk and traditional rennet. It's taste selected and matured for 18 to 22 months, giving more depth and complexity, and it confidently blurs lime between a great cheddar and the French classic Comté. So let's have a look at the whiskey first. And it's quite robust. Chunky aromas of chocolate, toffee, sherry, vanilla and lemon sherbet. It's quite sweetish with vanilla, caramel, coconut and a pinch of spices, cinnamon, nuts, raisins, rum soaked cherries. And there's a hint of leather, berries, spices, honey and a whiff of peat and smoke. Gentle peat. Wet grass, summer barbecues in England where it invariably rains. Sweet, low volatile, vanilla, honey, hazelnuts, prunes, citrus, cocoa powder, coffee with caramel, toffee, and orange zest. Try them out. And it's smooth, mellow, and rounded. You get milk chocolate, treacle toffee, pears, green apples, and lots of sweet vanilla. It's got a light sweetness, vanilla, caramel, spices, cinnamon, and black pepper. There's a light spiciness, some oiliness, delicate smoke, fruity, honey, good sweetness, more rum soaked cherries, raisins. There's a little peat and smoke, spices, cloves. It's quite a chewy mouthfeel. The peat comes through a bit more with a pleasant herbal note. This is rather good. Sweet chocolate, vanilla, pepper, oak, peach. And the finish, got some heavier fruity notes emerging, with creamy notes coming through. Some fruit, delicate smoke, as if a used smoked whiskey barrel, very subtle smoke, slight sweet, a heavily burned barrel perhaps, medium long finish, warm raisins, spices, dark fruits, sweet milk chocolate, toffee, hazelnut, pepper, orange peel, caramel and oak. So this is quite a rich blend, well constructed, without an obvious grain influence. It's a nice sipping whiskey. It's not overly complex, but it delivers a good combination of the malt and the grain. Plenty of vanilla and chocolate with a new finish. I'd recommend this blend for beginners taking their first steps in the whiskey world. It's a good introduction to whiskey before diving into the single malt world. So the cheese we're going to pair this with is F.W. Reid and Sons Vintage Lincolnshire Poacher. So let's have a look and see how the cheese is. It's got a wonderful nutty sweetness and a long clean finish. The long maturation has given this sperm cheese a delicious savoury flavour, both nutty and fruity undertones, rich, smooth textured, with a pineapple acidity. Let's try it with a whiskey. You know, complexity of the cheese paired well with the balanced blended whiskey. The nutty and tangy flavour of the poacher also complements the sweet, smoky and spicy notes of the whiskey. The tang of the poacher is a perfect match for rich, dried, fruity whiskies. And the Black Bull also has some great caramelised walnut flavours that work well with the rich and bold flavours of the Lincolnshire poacher. So that works well as well. So we'll cleanse our palate again. So we're moving into the fourth pairing, and we're going all the way over to Elginshire to pair an Octave Linkwood 2014 11-year-old, cask numbers 7645543, 54.7%, and we're going to pair that with Gorwood Caerphilly. So the Octave Linkwood is a Speyside single malt distilled in 2014 at Linkwood Distillery and aged for 11 years. It spent 3 months in an Octave cask to enhance its depth and complexity. So the Trothone Brothers Gorwood aged Caerphilly is a mould ripe cheese which has a chalky outer appearance with a aromatic first fresh taste in its centre, which ripens to a mushroomy flavour from the rind. And it won the best British cheese at the 2021 World Cheese Awards held in Oviedo, Spain, and gained 7th place overall in the World Cheese Awards. Caerphilly cheese and whiskey can be a good pairing, with Caerphilly's mild, slightly salty and buttery flavour profile complementing certain whiskies. Specifically, whiskies with nutty, smoky or peaty notes can enhance the cheese's characteristics. The pairing can be further enjoyed by adding complementary flavours like leeks, mustard, or even incorporating the pairing into dishes like a souffle. So let's try the whiskey first of all. So Linkwood, floral and perfumey is some of the notes you'll get from a naked Linkwood. This one's been in an Octave, however, so let's see what we've got. And you get like wood, vanilla, almonds. There's a slight flintiness at first. Then you get walnuts and pecan pie, peanut butter, sourdough. That's a proper pizza dough, not Domino's pizza. Fresh concrete, soup, and it's like a stack of glossy magazines in a dentist's waiting room. Then you get ashes. Try them out. Oh, it's creamy. Fruitcake, citrus peel, shortbread, vanilla pods. Dried fruit, caramel. It's like a Trappist beer with walnuts and that expected touch of mustard. Then you get old dates and figs, which were bought in a souk. slightly oxidized, but that's still good. Chocolate and caramel stirred with ashes and a dusting of pepper. It's quite striking, really, this whiskey. And the finish is long and dry on bitter chocolate, ashes again. It's got a smoky, peppery edge, and then candy after a while. We'll try the cheese. And the cheese is quite firm. It's got a lemony core with a creamy, more savoury layer just beneath the round, which is often referred to as the breakdown. This aging process, longer than typical for Caerphilly cheeses, has resulted in a mature cheese with a rich, layered flavours that has a moist, crumbly texture and a mild, slightly salty and buttery flavour with lemony notes, dense, crumbly, and there is some fresh mushroom at the end. I'm going to try it with the whiskey. You know, the maturity of the cheese and the savoury elements of the cheese paired well with the oloroso characteristics of whiskey. And the Caerphilly worked interestingly with the minerality and sherry nature of this liquid. I think the whiskey I liked a lot, even if it leads you down an odd little path now and then, as liquid sometimes does. Right, we'll cleanse our palate for the last time. So, our final pairing of this whiskey and cheese tasting is the Duncan Taylor single cask Bunnahabhain 2008 15-year-old cask number 38551198, 54.6% with Dovetail Blue. So the Duncan Taylor single cask Bunnahabhain was aged from 2008 before being bottled at cask strength of 54.6% in 2024. After being distilled, it was filled into a single sherry cask where it was matured for the next 15 years. And there were 711 bottles of this. So the cheese is Hartington Creamery Dovetail Blue, which is a designated origin UK protected PDO soft blue cheese, handmade at the Hartington Creamery in the heart of the Peak District. It's a unique blue cheese because it can only be produced within 50 miles of the River Dove in the Peak District, and it's made with local Derbyshire milk in the maker's historic Pikehall farm, which dates back to Roman times. It's a wonderfully creamy, rich blue cheese. and it's brine dipped rather than dry salted, which gives Dovetail Blue a look and taste often associated with continental blue cheeses. Goes well with cured British meats and an artisan sourdough loaf, perhaps from the hidden lane. It's a truly versatile cheese, bursting with flavour for eating with biscuits or with a recipe requiring the best of blue cheese. Let's see how it goes with whiskey. So we'll look at the whiskey first. So Bunnahabhain, this is unpeated Bunnahabhain, and it's floral, honeyed, and nutty with notes of marzipan, frangipan, and raspberry jam. It's reminiscent of a Bakewell tart, creme brulee, muscovado, tart tatin, nugget, roasted peanuts, and a sort of aged Williams pear. Or aged Williams pear eau de vie. And there's some slightly leafier cherry with more black teas of all origins and style. Plus a little new leather and bay leaves. We'll try them out. And I get cinnamon and cloves, which fade into soft sweet notes of creamy butterscotch with cake and a gentle hint of coffee. There's a slight saltiness coming through at the back, maritime Bunnahabhain bottle with the sailor on it. It's a perfect young malt with a faint coastal side, some salinity and plum tarts. Roasted nuts, pistachio, and then fresher nuts, and even cider. Fresher fruits, and always stewed apples. And it's got a lovely long finish, with the spices fading to a lingering sweetness of soft brown sugar. A little tar on top of figs, chocolate, and dry raisins. It's a top draw. Let's see how it goes with the cheese. It's got a creamy texture, very little saltiness. It's delicate, but it's got that distinctive blue flavour. Let's try it with the whiskey. Blue cheese is a strong and pungent cheese. This one's not maybe quite on the outside of that spectrum. And it pairs well with whiskey. Its bold flavour and creamy texture make it an excellent choice for pairing with a variety of whiskey types. Normally, blue cheese like Dovetail Blue pairs well with smoky and peaty whiskies like Islay whiskies. The tanginess of the blue cheese meets the cherry profile of this whiskey, though. The walnut and orange are an echo to the sherry maturation of this Bruno. On the first nibble of the cheese demanded fruit and acidity, which pointed me straight at sharing mature drams like this one. And something on the sweeter and more raisiny side of the spectrum works best with this cheese. So, cheese and whiskey and cheese. I think they do work together. I always thought cheese and port and cheese and wine. Why not cheese and whiskey? And I think the pairings here have been well thought out. And I'd like to thank the suppliers of the cheese at Laffinage, a lovely couple who have supplied some fantastic cheeses, and the people at the Spirits Embassy in Huntley who have supplied whiskey pairings for these cheeses that work well. So, hope you've enjoyed this tasting. I think it's given me some thoughts about cheeses. What other whiskies would I pair with some of these cheeses? I think Stilton would pair fantastically well with Islay, and Brie possibly with Glen Grant, and a nice mature Orkney Cheddar with Glenfarclas, and you could wax lyrical about this, but yeah, it's been a bit of an eye opener for me. I hope you've enjoyed the whiskey. Hope you've enjoyed the cheese. I hope you enjoyed my crack. Thank you for listening.